Hey everyone. Hey, it's been so long. It's been like 10 minutes since I was on live with all of you. So thanks for joining us again. Do me this favor. When you join in, say hello to Krysti. It's hard to believe this is our very first Facebook live interview. I'm confident that you'll be seeing more of us together, which I'm super thankful for. So Krysti, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah. So the title of our conversation you can all see is crawling across the bottom, and it's your journey. It's going to be as unique as you. And the reason that I titled it that is when I asked Krysti to join me at the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Summit on October the 26th at Life University. She is one of our speakers. Her response back was very much that about how I think it's really easy in today's society to get wrapped up in like doing the comparison all the time, right? Like, I'm not a good enough mom, I'm not a good enough wife, I'm not a good enough chiropractor, I'm not thin enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, and it just all starts feeling so heavy. And so Krysti sent me a synopsis of her talk, and it was so much about, hey girl, this is your journey. So Krysti, let's have a conversation about that. Why is that something that's so near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously as most of us, the things we're most passionate about are things we've walked through personally, right? We teach what we needed to hear the most, or we need to hear the most right now. So I definitely have gone through a journey in practice over the last 12 years where there's been multiple times where I ran really, really hard and fast in a direction that I thought was what I wanted. And I kind of got there and, popped my head up and looked around and was like, but this isn't really what I wanted. This is what I just thought would like check that achievement box, or make me feel worthy because I was doing all the work that was going to re-feed back into my brain of like I'm enough, right? So I think as women we can tend, because we are doers, and we can take something and we can put it into action relatively quickly. I see this happening a lot with women where they are adopting models and practices and procedures that they haven't really thought through fully, and they haven't spent the time really asking themselves what they want. And so then they can run super fast down a direction, and they can have that same phenomenon happen to them where they're just like, but wait a minute, is this right? Is this what I wanted? And so this is something that I'm constantly talking about with other women, and it is difficult because you do have to slow down and spend the time to think about what you actually want. You have to ask those really intelligent questions. You can have a great guide in your life, like Dr. Barbara or myself, that can help with those questions in the beginning, so that you don't find yourself repeatedly doing this phenomenon. But I think as women especially, we can get really caught up in just wanting to get things done, and potentially them not being the right things for you. So
Absolutely. And I love that analogy of like we're running so fast to kind of prove our worth. Like, I have to do everything as a mom because that's what the good moms do. I have to do, like, I have to be this perfect person because that's the definition of perfection. And um I think that's one of the beauties of the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Summit and coming together is there are no masks, there are no facades. So you may see that I'm really good at some things. You may see Krysti's really good at other things. Guess what? We're not great at everything. I am not great at everything. I have sucked at personal care for the last 10 years. And many of you know that has put me under the surgeon's knife a few weeks ago. And so, like Krysti said at the beginning of this, was like typically we teach others, whether it's in practice or as coaches, something that's like near and dear to us now. And I just want to encourage all of you, like, if there's anything you can step out of, it's guilt. Like,
mm,
step out from underneath that cloak of guilt. If you could have, you would have. You're only doing that which you know how to do right now. And it's okay if you've been racing hard. Listen, the majority of my life, I've raced hard. The majority of Krysti's life, she has raced hard. And if you see us slowing down, it doesn't mean that you have to. It just means pause and ask, like, am I joyful? And I really don't even think it's so much happy as it is joy, right? To you, what is the difference between joy and happiness?
Oh, I love that question.
Cool.
I think happiness, in my mind, I always think about being content and grateful, that kind of thing. Whereas joy to me requires more intention, more space. You need to really think about, am I creating space in my day, in my week, in my month to slow down and honor the fact that I don't have to do everything at once. I can be excited about the little things that happen. And for me, joy, especially for myself, requires very intentional planning and space to allow that to happen. So yeah, I think that's a really important distinction, because I think most women, we can get a little caught in the black and white, right? Like either I'm happy or I'm not. And I think the joyful spin on it really helps you realize, what are you doing and how are you building your schedule so that every day you do have moments of joy? Because if you're letting your schedule run you and you're getting to the end of the day and you literally feel like, well, yeah, I'm still happy with my life, but I didn't have anything today that I built in to bring me joy, then are you running your life, or are you choosing to allow all the demands to run you? And I think that the joy planning is something as women that we can easily put on the back burner, right? Because you've all heard it a million times. We are the people that just move ourselves to the bottom of the list. And I think that happens regardless of if you're a mom or you're fresh in practice and you're a woman, you haven't had kids yet. I think as women, we are way more, that happens to us far more frequently, where we're just pushing ourselves to the bottom of the list because we're worried about caring for everyone else. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are times though that we think we're putting ourselves at the bottom of the list, and we do, but then we toxically put ourselves at the top of the list, right? And what I mean by that is, then we do things to either like get help or get attention because we've neglected ourselves so much, which then ends up being destructive. And I don't even think it's like consciously. I think it's like getting in that mode of, I have to do everything. Like I have to be the PTO president. I have to be all of this. So while we've put ourselves at the bottom, we put ourselves up here because yes, we want to help our kids and we want to help our communities and we want to do this. We also want to bring attention. I think many times because we have like this huge gap, this huge hole, because we haven't taken the personal responsibility to fill it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to work to get our needs met outside of ourselves. Mm-hmm. And typically speed and busyness is a great way to do that. Like, just be more busy, put my kids in more things because it's about my kids. Well, I think that just keeps us busy. So we don't have to necessarily look inside. So we don't have a chance to look in the mirror and to ask ourselves those questions and to say, like, I love your distinction about the difference between happiness and joy. And joy to me is also, and I think you were alluding to this, like you can choose to be joyful, even if it's an awful day, right? You can choose to be joyful, even at the end of one of those days that you're so exhausted. Like now that I'm an empty nester, I remember being so, and you're raising little kids and running a practice and coaching, so you can probably easily identify with this. And Dr. Jessie, she's joining us. She's pregnant, has an unbelievable practice, has a toddler, her team is growing super fast. Her husband has an amazing job, like just all of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember feeling so stressed about lack of sleep. Like almost neurotic of, oh my gosh, if I don't fall asleep, if I don't stay asleep, how in the world am I going to face tomorrow? Have you ever felt like that?
You know what? I'm going to be honest. No, I actually haven't, because
Oh,
there's certain things like sleep is one of my non-negotiables, right? So even back in the day, like when I felt like I was saying yes to a lot of things that weren't bringing me joy, I still kind of had my core thing of like, if I don't get, like, I know if I don't get my 8 hours of sleep, not going to be able to do anything for anybody. So yeah, I actually, but I've heard a lot of women talk to me about literally laying there trying to fall asleep and not being able to fall asleep because they were so like stressed about, if it takes me 30 minutes to fall asleep, then I'm only going to get this much sleep. If it takes
yeah.
me an hour to fall asleep, yeah, I've heard that before, but I haven't personally experienced, luckily. So
Oh, yeah. And so my heart goes out to all of you. Like last night we stayed up too late and we're working in the yard and da da da. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna get a whole lot of sleep. And I'm more of like a 6 hour a night person. But I used to remember feeling like literally frantic of how in the world am I gonna be able to pour into my kids' lives and my practice members' lives and my coaching life when I literally am completely exhausted. So if you've had that experience before, pop in the comment section and say, like, I get it. If on the other hand, you're like Krysti and you're like, you know what, that is a non-negotiable. And you know what, Krysti, maybe it was I never slowed down enough to realize I wasn't a very nice person. I've heard women say to me, oh, no, no, no. I got to get 8 hours or there ain't no one who wants to be around me. And I guess ask my kids, like, was I,
yeah.
I'm sure that I was, but no one was telling me, like, you're a bear to be around when you don't have sleep. There's my confession. I asked for your forgiveness, Samson and Micah. I'm sure that there were plenty of ways that lack of sleep. So let's talk about what are you bringing to the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Summit that women who are watching today, and I just want to be clear with all of you, like the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Summit is for female chiropractors. It's for female students. It's for individuals who are women and absolutely love chiropractic. You can be a CA, a spouse. We're coming together. Like the content is about unifying women. It's about building each other up. And I will tell you, I said this on my last Facebook Live, and one of the reasons I've asked the women like Krysti to be speakers is they're authentic. So we don't have it all figured out. I promise you, if you're looking for a lineup of speakers who are perfect, it's the wrong place. If you're looking for a lineup of speakers instead who will share in your struggle, who will share in your victories, who we have amazing things that we've done in our life. And we also have things that we'd like to offer our feedback on, like saying like, if I had to do it again, I maybe would have made a different choice. Then the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Summit is for you. So how, let me read this real quickly. Jesse says, I get it. We just changed our office hours to accommodate the hustle and family and giving the best care possible. Yeah, absolutely. Good job, Jess. So what can women expect from your presence at the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Summit?
Yeah, I always struggle with this question when speaking because I'm like, I'm the person that's like, I'll just tell you my whole talk, right? Right. But I think the biggest thing when you came to me with the premise of, just because you can do it all, that doesn't mean that it's not heavy, right? When you came to me with that, I immediately thought about the journey that I've been on and that I've been lucky enough to, coach other people through and kind of finding this happy medium. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking a lot about how to identify when you potentially are like at the ends of the spectrum and instead you should be living in a happy medium, and how that's not something that we need to shy away from. I think as a society and especially as a profession, we literally look at the middle and mediocre as a negative thing. When if you look at mental health, personal growth, the whole shebang, if you violently swing your pendulum from side to side, you are definitely not in your best level of health from, mental, physical, the whole shebang. So how do you craft a life where you can keep it cool and you can keep it collected and you don't feel like you have to continuously run back and forth between two like diametrically opposed ends of the spectrum? Because I think as women, especially, this is something I used to do. And this is something that I see women do often, because I think women are insanely coachable. They, as I mentioned, I think that we can tend to take action really quickly and well, and we're good at, multitasking and handling all the things, just like your title says, right? But that sometimes makes us just go like just violently back and forth, instead of just, again, as we talked about, pausing and getting quiet and asking yourself what you want and tuning out the noise and figuring out, why is it so heavy, and how can I be the master of my own destiny and recreate a different meaning for all of it, so that I can strategically choose what does bring me joy ultimately, and I can stick to that and have my non-negotiables. So I'm excited to kind of talk about that middle zone and how to avoid the easy shiny lure syndrome of just kind of racing back and forth between one magical fairy dust fix to the other. So
I love that. And I'm super excited to hear your presentation, because on the surface, it sounds like we have like completely opposite paradigms, which I want everyone to see. It's okay. It's okay if we don't all agree on every element. Like, we can still work together. We can still collaborate together. We can still love one another. I have mad respect for Krysti, and I believe she has the same for me. It doesn't mean that we have to see eye to eye on everything. It's totally fine. But the cool thing about the summit is if that's a message that you're needing now in your life, Krysti's got that great message for you. If instead you're like, you know what? I'm more of like, I'm in the baller stage. I'm a baller. Like, that's my nature, and I can't change, like, I won't change that about myself. And yet I've learned how to be a baller and still maintain health, right? Like, for me, it's about zigzagging back and forth, like, downhill skiing. If you bomb the mountain like right down the middle, you're going to get hurt. You're just like in that squat, and there's somebody that's probably going to take you out, or you're going to get hurt. It's about going back and forth. Krysti's paradigm is totally different. One is probably work best for you. It's like clothing. Like, right? Like, when you got I got my A game on today. It's not fancy. I feel really good in it. It probably wouldn't look good on somebody else. I'm not saying it looks good on me. I'm just saying it's comfortable. So I hope that you all see that there are women leaders in this profession who maybe don't see eye to eye on every element, but we still work together. And that's what I truly love. And that's what I really want to bring. And for everyone just to take a pause of, this feels really good, right? This feels really good. And, I think it's so important to remember in our lives as women that there are seasons, right? There's seasons. There's seasons that we were all in school, and some of us did babies while we were in school and some of us didn't. Then there was a season of the chaos when you first open a practice, right? Then there's a season of if you add children, when you get married, like, everything is a season and it changes. And it's not always supposed to look the same, right? Like, our marriages they're supposed to be like this, right? And we come together, and not that we break up, but we come together, and it's this flow that goes back and forth. And so I think, I remember one day saying to my husband, yeah, but when we were dating, it was like this. And he was like, we're not dating anymore. We're married. And it was just kind of like tomahawk me to the face. Like, why are you wanting that now? Mm-hmm. That's not the season that we're in. Would you?
Oh, yeah, I just, that speaks to my soul so much. Cause again, I think I've been there too. And I think especially like for those of us that are moms, that's a common thing as a mom, right? Is like, you just don't want this time to end. But oftentimes I think we get so like, we're clinging on to right now or something in the past so tightly that we lose that like enthusiasm and potential and excitement for the future. And then it just gets you stuck in not being able to explore. And, again, this is total personal experience where I was so clinging to like, this is the best that it could be, that I was blind to what the best in my life was going to be the next week and the next month and the next quarter. I think you just have to fall in love with the process that the best is yet to come.
Yeah.
And you have to really trust that that is true. And that doesn't mean that you're not sad, that, I mean, it's okay to have those emotions about things that, like things that chapter has closed or whatever it is. But if you live your life like drastically clinging on to something that's happening now or something in the past, you're never going to be able to truly embrace what you're capable of, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's a super important thing for them to experience firsthand.
Absolutely. And to embrace it all. Like the good, the bad, the ugly, the scraped needs, the blowout diapers, like all of them. Then let me tell you, when you're raising like teenagers and then your kids become adults, and I think that's like some of the greatest joy I have as a mom is watching my children as adults, and I'm going to cry.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I think we all like, we can look forward to that, right? And it doesn't mean that you didn't, like, I look forward to that all the time, and I'm excited about that, like, and also a little nervous, let's be honest. Like, when your kids are little, you're like, gosh, I hope I don't screw them up. Nobody gave me a book on how to make sure that they don't end up, in a sketchy place.
Yeah.
But, oh, I love that.
I'm just so proud of the struggles they've overcome and the adults they've become and their potential to love, our son as a husband and our daughter and her relationship, and just the choices that they make. And I just want to encourage all of you moms, like, it's all worth it. All of the hours of training and all of the hours of love that you pour into your children. It's all so worth it to now be able to be a part of their life as adults. And just it's overwhelming, just the joy and the pride that I have and who they've become. And I think it's so easy as moms to want to just like insulate our children, and to do everything for them. And it's caused me to like be so thankful that I was a single mom, because there are a lot of things I had to do differently as a single mom. Like I couldn't do everything, and I embraced that very early on. And so as a result, like my kids really had to stand on their own 2 feet, and they had to participate, and now to see them as adults because of that, and just the pride, not like arrogance, the pride they have in themselves for doing it. Like our son put himself through college. We didn't pay a single penny. And he graduated with 0 loans. Like that's pretty amazing.
It's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I had his undergrad degree and no debt at all. And each one of them to carve their own journey. Mike has been on her own financially since she was 17 and is doing amazing. And I just want to encourage all of your moms. It's all worth it. It's so worth it. And just remember that they're watching you, right? They're watching how you love yourself, how you speak to your spouse. They're watching you, how you go about your day. And I'm not saying that to like make you feel nervous, but just to be mindful that you're raising future adults, right? Remember that you're raising future adults. You're not raising children. You're raising future adults who have to be able to have the strength to endure life. And it's tough. Life's tough. So I'm not saying be tough with them, but remember, you're raising adults. Now you're going to cry. Now I'm going to cry. We're all going to cry.
Yeah, it's so true. So true.
Yeah. Joanne said, yes, I love my adult and almost adult children. Never regret the time you spend with them. Love what you said about seasons. Sarah said, this is so, so true. It's important as chiropractors, women, moms, entrepreneurs to get out of our heads and into our bodies right now in this moment. Thank you both for this genuine moment. Chills. Yeah, absolutely. And just, I'm so, did I lose you?
Nope, I'm here.
My screen just went crazy.
Oh,
Not your fault. Mac with like, if you move your face just right, like it just crazy things. So Krysti, as we wrap this up, what final word do you want to leave women with? And really and truly as an encouragement to come and be with us, to come and like if in their mind they're like, oh, it's another convention.
Right.
It's another one on the list. That's one thing that I it's not just the same speakers that you see prancing across every stage. And just like how is this going to be different?
Yeah. Let's play on before you said, get rid of that cloak of guilt. And I think what prevents a lot of women from showing up to live in-person things is guilt, right? We're saying yes to a bunch of other things when maybe deep down you do want to come to things like this, but you're worried about what that means for, the screening event that you had planned that weekend, or if you do have kids, right? Or whatever it is, you had something else planned. I think the biggest thing to remember is, coming from two people with lots of experience in life and in the profession, there's really no substitute for an in-person event where you are going to have a conversation. You're going to be able to, have a great experience where you're actually choosing how you're going to implement this knowledge right now in your life, in your unique way. And so prioritizing those live experiences, in my opinion, is one of the best possible things you could do for your success. I personally, like both inside of chiropractic and just in business, this year alone, probably I'll have, between speaking and attending, have gone to like 9 different events in 2019. And I have little kids, you guys. So it's, you get to choose how you're prioritizing your learning. And I would much rather show up and be immersed in the right environment, do the work to plan how I'm going to implement that in my life at that time, in that one day experience, and know that then I'm going to be able to save myself so much time and headache later down the line in, fall starts and whatnot. And so I'm going to have more time with my family. I'm going to have more time with what I want, what brings me joy, because I was willing to make the commitment to showing up live and not allowing all those voices in my head to say, people are going to judge you because you're away from your kids all the time. That still happens, you guys, right? I take a picture of my suitcase and I think about the people, the women that are like, oh, you're away from your kids all the time. But I just always go back to what Dr. Barbara was just saying, is I'm showing my kids that mom follows her dreams. And I want them as adults to follow their dreams. And I want them to never feel like they have to prioritize against what truly does bring them joy, because they're watching me be joyful in my purpose in life, which is to help other female chiropractors. So just get there. Don't let the guilt prevent you from, you just need to shut that out. And just remember, if you want to go, you can make it happen, and you should be there if you want to. So
I love what you said about my kids seeing my suitcase packed and I'm leaving, right? I'm leaving to pursue my dreams that then also help your children, right? Like let's not fool ourselves every day when we go to work. I'll be sharing at the summit, and some of you have heard my story about my daughter saying to me, Mommy, I just want you, no, this will really make me cry. I just want you to be happy as a 4-year-old. From that day on, I decided if I'm away from my family, I'm making money. So if I'm away from my family, I'm providing value and making an income, period. That's how it goes. And I want my children, and all of you moms, you want your children to be able to take care of themselves, right? Like even as a married couple, if one works and one doesn't, things happen. Like I raised my kids as a single mom. Some of you watching right now, you may be providing the only income in your home. It's a lot of responsibility. And because of that, choices have to be made. Choices are made, and motherhood and partnership and marriage looks different to everybody. right? So some mommies want to be home full time. That doesn't make them better than those of us who work. Those of us who work, we're not better than those who choose to stay home. It's all a unique journey because each one of us are unique. And it does this, right? It ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows. There are seasons for all of it. I love what Krysti said about if you're feeling guilty because, oh my gosh, I've already had so many things on my schedule. Oh my gosh, I already have this thing planned. But if this is what you want to come to, if this is a calling in your heart saying, man, I want to be with those women. You know, one of the things that I'm really proud that we're doing this year at the summit is all of the speakers doing extra work, not just preparing to be able to share with you the best of the best that they have, but we're also creating a workbook. And the workbook is every speaker is coming up with her own questions to start stimulating your mind about the content that she's going to teach you. And also in the workbook are action steps of how do you take what she's taught you and apply it and implement it into your life. Like, we don't want to leave you stranded. We don't want to leave you overwhelmed with more content from another seminar. Nope, we're not doing that. We're going to get you focused before you even come. So when you leave on Sunday or Saturday night, whenever you decide to leave, that you're confident to be able to implement. So I just want to thank Krysti as one of the speakers for doing that extra work. I always tell people if you're going to be around me, there's going to be work involved. So thank you.
Of course, it's necessary.
I really appreciate that. So let's say goodbye. Krysti, do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. I'm looking forward to seeing many of your faces, though, in person.
Yeah.
It's coming up quick in just a couple short weeks. So yeah, that's exciting.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, everyone. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Krysti, thank you so much for adding this into your already jam-packed schedule. And all of you, have a wonderful day. Choose joy. See ya. Bye.